In this video, we're going to explore how rulers function, how the alignment tool and snapping work, as well as incremental moving and sizing. So for this exercise, we're going to use a generic acoustic panel, which allows me to resize it freely in height and width. This is important because we're going to use this object to create different sized panels and then align them. The first thing to understand is how the rulers actually work. You can see that from each edge of an object, there are rulers that are interactive. You can click on any ruler and input the distance you want. So if I want this panel to be exactly 3 feet 6 inches from the wall, I can type that dimension and simply move it to that location. Now the important thing to note here when I make a copy of this is that the rulers actually work based on collision. Any time that the ruler intersects with another object is how distance is calculated. So if I place the new panel below the original one, the ruler is now going all the way to the wall. So if you're trying to get spacing between objects, you need to make sure that the rulers actually intersect or collide with an adjacent object. Now let's look at how resizing an object works. Anytime I grab a handle, I can resize the object based on that edge. I can press the Shift key and also symmetrically resize an object, which means both edges will move in and out as I grab the handle. So symmetrical versus asymmetrical resizing is a thing you should get familiar with, and that is using the left Shift key when you interact with a handle. We can also enable incremental resizing. Right now you'll notice that as I move the handle, it is freely changing the height of the panel. If I wanted this to happen in 1-inch increments, I can use this incremental movement and resizing button. This is a toggle, so you can turn it on and off, and you'll notice that the handles of the object change when I click this. With it enabled, I can choose between 1, 6, or 12-inch increments. This also works in metric, where our increment options are 1, 10, and 100 centimeters. So as I adjust this handle, the panel increases height by just 1 single centimeter. I'll set this back to imperial units so that you can see how this works in feet and inches as well. Right now the object is 5'6", and you'll see it's adjusting in 1-inch increments. Finally, I'll duplicate the panel using Alt plus click and drag and make a third panel that is a completely different size. Next, I'll enable the multi-select option in the toolbar, which is the dotted square icon near the middle of the top toolbar. When I enable this option, it toggles on and I'm able to select multiple objects. I can select anything, even dissimilar items, so you'll want to be cautious of this because in this case, I only want to select the 3 acoustic panels. The shortcut key to select multiple objects is left control. I can now select multiple objects just as I could when it was toggled on. If I select a single object and press Ctrl++, it will automatically select all similar objects. This is arguably the best and fastest way to select several copies of the same thing. On a related note, it will also select them if they're on a different planar wall, so if I hit Ctrl++ simultaneously, it's going to select all of the acoustic panels. With all of the panels selected, let's look at the alignment tool. This tool is a vertical alignment tool only. There are some reasons we don't align on other planes, such as the floor and ceilings, but we'll cover that in a different video. So again, the primary purpose of this vertical alignment tool is to uniformly place objects on walls. What we're seeing here is my primary selection outlined in blue, and then all of the other objects are highlighted in green. The blue primary selection will be my reference height. So if I go up to the Align tool and tell it I want to align to the top, it will align those acoustic panels to the top of that object. Same idea here, center and bottom. The main reason I wanted to show this is that these are all different sized objects, so you can use this tool to align it to top, center, or bottom ledgers. Snapping is also important to know, and it works in a very similar way to incremental moving and resizing. You can toggle this on and off. When you have it turned on, the snaps that are activated can be individually or independently enabled and disabled. These snaps correlate to the color of the axis indicator of an object. You'll see there's a blue, green, and red axis on every part and piece in Modus. Blue is not universally up, so you'll always want to check the indicator. For example, if I turn this panel 90 degrees, the blue axis is now no longer pointing up. The snap will still be related to the blue axis, so when I enable edge snapping on my blue axis, for instance, and move the panel, you'll see as I move close to the edge of the wall, it will actually snap on that blue edge. Now in this case, I have the red snapping turned off, but the red axis is actually going out into space, so it's not a functional part of this object. Turning it on would have no impact on the object snapping. Now, I'll re-enable my green axis, and you'll see that as I move the object up the wall on the green axis, it snaps when it gets close to the adjacent ceiling. The same applies to center snapping. So we have edge snapping and center snapping. Again, those snaps are all based on the rulers. So if I have center snapping enabled and I'm expecting the panel to snap to the center of this wall, it's not going to. It's going to snap to the edge of the wall and that acoustic panel. So that's really important to note. Be cautious of where your rulers are when you start centering things. We'll dive into horizontal planes in a different video and some of the tools we use to align things like light fixtures, speakers, microphones, etc. Again, if you have any questions or would like to see a specific video, please post them on our forums, forum.modusvr.com, or simply send us an email, support@modusvr.com. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.